Okay, so in English, I would call this knife a Fallkniven.
And in Swedish, this would be a Fallkniven.
What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about the Fallkniven F1. Designed in Baton, Sweden, manufactured in Seki City, Japan, this knife contains a 3.85-inch blade of VG Wolf laminate. Try to get that on. So laminate VG Wolf, which apparently is VG7 core, so it's laminated. VG7 differs from VG10. I don't know the exact difference, but they advertise it has 1.25% tungsten for additional hardness and durability. So, yeah, maybe it's a little bit better edge retention than VG10. So I can definitely say I beat the heck out of this thing. This knife, actually, I bought this in 2022. Took it out off and on, 2023, 2024. Was kind of using it as kind of a comparison knife against others. And I was like, you know what? It's time to give this one a proper review. So let's talk a little bit about it. Actually, let me show the Kydex, or not Kydex, sorry. It's a polymer sheath. This is their new style where it actually has this little secondary locking mechanism that pushes up against the blade and holds it in. And that was, I guess, because maybe, for upside down hanging, which when I rode with this on my bike, mountain bike, for a good summer in 2023, and never actually did that secondary locking and hung it upside down so that I could grab it out easily, and never really had a problem. So again, I imagine maybe if you're jumping out of an airplane, a parachuter, something along those lines, this is, I think, an issue issued for the Swedish military. So yeah, it very functional, worked just fine. We'll go ahead and move that out of there. This knife weighed 5.2 ounces, 6.9 with that sheath, so it's very nice and light, and that's definitely we're jumping into one of the strong points for me is definitely kind of carry and lightness, which is very nice. This knife prices at $150. I got it from DLT. They do seem to be out. I don't know. This is called the test series, but maybe this, you see tons of different F1s out there, so you can get one for in that price range, certainly. It contains an overmolded black polymer. They say this is black polymer, but I swear this feels like this is rubber infused. It is absolutely not like your Benchmade bug out one, your standard polymer, things like that, where it's slippery. No, this definitely has a rubber feel to it. So I'm not entirely sure how they do that. They call it polymer. Maybe polymer includes rubber infused. So we already talked a little bit about the Zytel polymer sheath with the newer locking mechanism. Let's go ahead and move that out. I'm going to bring in some comparison knives here. In terms of some convex ground ones, the first one, I'll put that on top, is the DBK Bushcrafter. This is made by TRC Knives. It's got LMAX steel, micarta handles, made by TRC, designed by the DBK boys. It's very similar in size, definitely, and it has a Scandivex grind. And then that one goes for about $400. So these are not price comparative. These are really functional comparative and kind of what you might be looking at. This is the Bravo, the Bark River Knives Bravo 1 LT, which I assume stands for light, a little bit thinner blade stop than regular. These both have slightly longer blades than the F1. So, but in terms of things that you can get that are convex edged or convex ground, these are what I have in my collection. That knife costs $300. So we're talking about $300, $400. A fairly hefty price, and you're not going to get a lot of really well ground convexes for that low price. Let's jump to a Scandivex. This is this is, for me, this is kind of like the benchmark right here for price and everything, materials, construction, design. This is the Joker Knives Ember. It has a Scandi ground, 14C 28N steel. This one goes for between like $100 and $120 on Amazon. Made in Spain. Really, really incredible. And then lastly we have, and I did review this year, this is the Boker DBK Bushfriend 2000. This is kind of their take on a more price affordable bushcrafting knife. Again, you'll notice all of those have a little bit longer blades, and that's it shouldn't be too hard to figure out what one of the weaknesses would be for this. And the Bushfriend is 80 CRV2 high carbon steel. So it's the only one that doesn't really have a stainless steel of the bunch there. So I think, those would be kind of some comparisons that you'd be looking at. Maybe the M4. I haven't done a review on that one. That's from Line Steel. That doesn't do so great with wood. Doesn't have a sharp spine and things like that. Not a convex ground, flat grind. So, you could make it be a comparison, but I think really for what you're going to be doing this with this thing is these are kind of some of the comparisons you have there, and maybe the Joker Knives Ember is probably the closest. So let's jump into this one. The pros: this knife is very small and light, including the sheath to carry. Just loved it. It takes up so little space. A lot of these other ones are leather, and I do love leather, but I mean, if you just take a look at this one, this is, like I said, this is kind of my benchmark, the Joker Ember, and look at the different profiles that you're talking about there. It's just really kind of that good. So on a mountain bike, this is perfect. As much as I love a full tang on knives, this one with essentially a through tang, but quite a bit of through tang with this overmolding. The overmolding is nice, and it has really good texturing. In cold climates, when you're carving and stuff up at high altitude, and it gets cold very quickly at night, you appreciate the overmolding on there. So you know what? That's definitely a pro on this one. Convex grind is excellent for cutting everything. Easy to maintain working edge, and the price that goes with this one is really, really good. I literally had little Arkansas stone, and would just basically, just gently rub on that. So it's not the most beautiful, but with this kind of a knife, you're not looking. This is not a beautiful looker. It's a user, 100%. So the fire steel scraping is absolutely fantastic, without having to have this be so dang sharp. So that I can hold this in a saber grind, and there's no cutting. I love LT Wright knives, but they do tend to get a little bit more aggressive, and they don't really knock down the burr that gets formed there, which can cut you in a saber grip. So this one, you know what? The Japanese have actually done a really good job for Sweden, and I appreciate that. So definitely one of the strong points. This thing is tougher than tough. You I don't know, may or may not have shown it well. I'll find out when I do the full editing of this. But this thing was going through bent, when I was batoning and so forth. That this thing is it's a very thick steel. I don't know what that is. That looks to be, I don't know, 4 millimeters or so. It's not going to break. Tougher than tough. Full bending through the batoning. Absolutely snap back to 100% straight. So excellent. The sheath with the double retention. I kind of already talked about that. Definitely one of the pros. As far as the cons, as far as construction, I can't really find a con where they did something wrong, or maybe maybe would have been better. For myself, the handle is just a little bit thin for a medium-sized hand, and in fact, I'll show you even the Bush Friend 2000. Let me pull that one back here. Don't cut myself. But even that one had a little bit thicker handle than this, and even that was a little bit thin for me. So I, myself would kind of prefer just a little bit thicker one. It really just comes down to hand size. I gave this to a couple ladies to try out, carving wood. We carve our own chopsticks, and it felt perfect for them. So yeah, for a little bit more robust knife for a lady, excellent size. And then really to go with that, the 3.85 inch blade, if it was just about a 1/4 inch longer, it can do a whole lot more. It was just a little bit limited. Certainly on batoning, I had to do very small pieces of thickness of wood, and so for myself, I know what my style is. It's 4.5 inch. So would I love 4.5 inch? Yeah, but that would make it a different knife. But even just a 1/4 inch longer, just like that, if it would get to that, 4.1 inches, it would be a little bit more functional for my purposes, even for cutting, food in camp. So overall, what would I say? There's literally nothing wrong here. The construction, the price, the steel, the grind on it, the sheath are essentially near perfect for a medium-sized hand. And I think if you're looking for a blade for function and not Instagram pictures and and that sort of thing, absolutely get one, because it's going to do wood processing. It can do hunting, skinning. It'll be great for camping. Like I said, it doesn't have a super long length to do food, but if you just need, small cuts and things like that, you're not cutting through whole heads of lettuce, it's going to be just fine. So overall, I'd say, yeah, this is a really, that's why this is a standard knife. This is a benchmark that a lot of other bushcrafting ones are measured against. So yeah, give it a total thumbs up on this knife. Hope this was useful, if not interesting, and if it was, I appreciate the like and subscribe as always. Thanks, take care. What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about, man,